The dog who checked the mail, how grief and a golden retriever found each other. Welcome to Hearthside Stories 25, where every stitch, every tear, and every second chance comes to life. Pull up a chair, settle in, and let your heart listen, because here we tell the stories that warm your soul and remind you what it means to be human. The small Oregon town of Pine Ridge had always moved at a gentle pace. Neighbors waved from porches, the diner knew your name, and the mail always came at 3:15 p.m. sharp. But for 9-year-old Eli Carter, time had stopped. 3 months ago, Eli's world shattered when his mother, Sarah, passed away from a rare illness. She had been his compass, bedtime storyteller, lunchbox note leaver, and the one who understood that sometimes you just needed to sit under a tree and cry. Since her passing, Eli hadn't spoken a single word. He now lived in a quiet cocoon of drawings, shadows, and long walks to the mailbox, where he waited, not even sure why. Maybe for a letter, maybe for a miracle. Each day after school, Eli would walk down the gravel driveway, red lunchbox in hand, and sit by the faded green mailbox that his mom used to decorate with sunflowers every spring. His father, Daniel, tried to bridge the silence, but he was grieving too. He worked double shifts at the lumber mill and came home with heavy eyes and heavier silence. Their house, once filled with laughter, now echoed only with footsteps and the hum of the refrigerator. The school counselor suggested journaling. The pastor dropped off books about heaven, but nothing reached Eli. His voice, once so full of wonder and curiosity, was locked away somewhere unreachable. Eli's only comfort was routine, and the mailbox. Every day, same time, same spot. He would sit, wait, look up the road. Sometimes he drew his mother's handwriting. Sometimes he whispered her name into the wind. Sometimes he just cried quietly, holding one of the old letters she used to tuck into his backpack. "You got this, buddy. I believe in you." It was on a gray Thursday, the kind where the sky feels like an old blanket, that everything began to change. As Eli walked the familiar path to the mailbox, he noticed a shape already waiting for him. Sitting quietly by the post, ears perked, tail still, was a golden retriever. No collar, no leash, just waiting. Eli stopped, unsure. The dog simply looked at him with warm, patient eyes, the kind that didn't demand anything, just offered presence. Eli sat on the ground. The dog padded closer and lay beside him, gently resting its chin on Eli's knee. For the first time in weeks, Eli didn't feel entirely alone. He didn't say a word. He didn't need to. The rain that afternoon was steady. Not a storm, but a long, soaking drizzle that made everything feel slow and soft. The kind of rain that blurs edges and fills the air with the scent of wet earth and old memories. Eli sat on the porch steps in his usual silence, hood pulled tight, chin resting on his knees. The world was quiet except for the rhythmic patter of rain on the metal mailbox at the edge of their gravel driveway. And then he saw it, a golden retriever, soaked quiet and unmoving. The dog sat just beneath the mailbox. No collar, no leash, no noise, just presence. The dog didn't bark, didn't whine, just sat, head slightly tilted, watching Eli with calm, amber eyes. Eli stared back, unsure. He whispered a soft, hoarse, "Hey." The dog blinked. Then, after a minute, it simply stood and walked away, its tail swaying gently as it disappeared down the road. The next day, at the same time, in the same spot, the dog returned. No matter the weather, rain, sun, fog, the dog came. Sat by the mailbox. Waited. Listened. At first, Eli said nothing. Just sat with it. Then he began to whisper again. Small things. "I didn't sleep last night." Or, "I heard Mom's voice in a dream." Or just, "I hate Tuesdays." The dog never flinched, never moved, just listened. Day by day, the whispers turned to murmured sentences, then short stories, then full-on conversations, one-sided of course. And one day, Eli laughed, a real, belly-deep laugh when the dog, trying to scratch an itch behind its ear, toppled sideways into a mud puddle. He clapped his hands and said, "You're terrible at balance. You know that?" The dog just shook itself off and sneezed dramatically. From then on, Eli waited for him. Every Single. Day. They became something of a routine, boy and dog, rain or shine. The neighbors began calling the golden retriever mailbox because that's where he always was, like a gentle, living letter carrier bringing quiet hope. Daniel, Eli's father, watched from inside. He didn't know where the dog came from. No one in the neighborhood claimed him, but he saw what was happening to his son. The boy who hadn't spoken in weeks was beginning to glow again. And so Daniel didn't ask questions. He simply said one day, if he's coming back again tomorrow, maybe he'd like some chicken. It was a Thursday. The sun hung low and golden, casting long shadows across the porch as Eli stepped outside with a bowl of leftover chicken in hand. Mailbox, the name now officially his, was already there, tail thumping gently against the gravel. Eli grinned. You're early today. As he knelt to place the food down, something caught his eye. A letter, tucked inside the red flag holder of the mailbox. Not a flyer, not a bill. An envelope, slightly yellowed by time. The paper soft and familiar. His name was written on the front in a delicate, looping hand. Eli James. No stamp, no return address. Just Mom's handwriting. His breath caught in his throat. Fingers trembling, he turned the envelope over. The flap had been sealed with care. Slowly, reverently, Eli opened it. Inside was a single page, folded neatly. It smelled faintly of vanilla, just like her. My sweet Eli, if you're reading this, I hope the world has been kind to you today. Remember when we planted that tree in the backyard? You said it would grow as tall as the sky. I think of you when I look at trees now. Strong, quiet, reaching. I miss your voice, but I believe in your silence, too. The letter was dated 2 years ago, before the accident, before the silence. Eli sat down hard on the porch step. Mailbox came and placed his head on the boy's knee. Daniel came out, concerned. When Eli handed him the letter, Daniel turned pale. I don't remember this, he whispered. I've never seen it, but that was just the beginning. The next week, there was another letter. And a week after that, another. Each one in her handwriting. Each one gentle, encouraging, poetic, personal. Memories woven into words, like lullabies stitched with ink. Things only his mother would know. Hopes she must have penned in private moments, for someday she'd never get to see. Daniel searched the attic, the old drawers, the closets. No stash of letters, no hidden notebooks. They simply appeared, one each week, always on Thursdays. Always when Mailbox was around. The letters didn't speak of the future. They didn't mourn the past. They spoke directly to Eli's soul. And slowly, something began to return to the boy. Laughter, confidence, questions. He started drawing again, then journaling, then reading aloud to Mailbox, who now curled up beneath Eli's chair every evening. Eli's therapist, his teachers, even the postman noticed the change. And though no one could explain how the letters arrived, no one dared question it either. Sometimes the unexplainable things are the ones the heart needs most. The morning felt wrong. The air was still, and the gravel in the driveway untouched. Eli sat on the porch swing, eyes scanning the empty street. No wagging tail, no gentle bark, no Murphy. He waited all day. No golden retriever. By nightfall, his eyes were rimmed red again, and he barely touched his dinner. Maybe he's just visiting somewhere else today, Daniel offered gently. But Eli knew better. Murphy had never missed a day. Not one. The next day passed the same, and the one after that. Each morning, Eli stepped outside, hope a little dimmer in his eyes. He didn't speak much. His drawing stopped. He didn't even look inside the mailbox. Until Daniel found him curled up on the porch with Murphy's old bandana pressed to his chest. Word spread fast through the town. Flyers with Murphy's photo were pinned on light posts and storefronts. Kids taped posters to their school lockers. The local coffee shop printed his face on cup sleeves. Even the mayor reposted the missing dog alert on social media. Found family missing. Help Eli find Murphy. Hashtag Bring Murphy Home trended across the town's local Facebook group. Volunteers took shifts driving through alleys, parks, and neighborhoods. A local rescue team even used scent train dogs. Still no sign, until an old nurse from the edge of town sent Daniel a message. We've had a golden retriever visiting Miss Annie here at Cedar Haven every day around 2 p.m. Shows up, lays his head on her lap, then disappears. Thought he was one of the therapy dogs. Daniel and Eli rushed to Cedar Haven, the town's senior living center on the outskirts. As they walked through the garden entrance, a familiar bark pierced the air. Eli's heart leapt, and there he was, Murphy, lying beside a frail woman with snowy white hair and a sunflower blanket across her knees. When Murphy saw Eli, he stood slowly, tail wagging low but sure. Eli knelt and threw his arms around the dog, burying his face in the golden fur. "Where were you?" he whispered. The nurse approached gently. "He's been coming every day for almost 2 weeks," she said. "Always sits by Miss Annie. She won't eat until he does." Eli looked at the woman. Her eyes were distant but kind. Her fingers trembled as she reached out, gently brushing Eli's cheek. "Your mother talked about you. You were just a boy then," she whispered. "She used to read letters out loud in that very garden." Daniel's eyes widened. "Wait, you knew her?" The nurse nodded. "Miss Annie was your mother's hospice nurse. They were close. After your mom passed, she started writing letters, said she hoped one day you'd find them." It clicked. Murphy hadn't just been wandering. He'd been delivering a kind of peace, carrying love where it needed to go. Eli's tears flowed freely now, not for pain but from awe. Murphy, the silent mailman, the golden thread between hearts, had not been lost. He'd simply been returning a favor. The next morning, Eli walked into Cedar Haven, holding Murphy's leash in one hand and a sketchbook in the other. He wasn't the same boy who used to sit silent on the porch. His shoulders were straighter now. His eyes, still soft, held purpose. Inside, Miss Annie was waiting, her hands resting on a wooden box wrapped in a faded blue scarf. "Your mother asked me to give you these," she said softly. She wasn't sure how, but she trusted that when the time was right, you'd find a way here. Eli took the box with trembling hands. Inside were dozens of letters, all dated in the months after his mom had passed. Each one handwritten, each sealed with a small pressed flower. Some were stories, some were birthday wishes, some just reminded him that he was brave, that he was still hers. As Eli sat cross-legged beside Murphy that night, he opened one letter and read aloud. "Dear Eli, if you're reading this, it means you found your way back to joy, or maybe it's found you. I hope you're smiling, I hope you're speaking, and I hope you've met someone, furry or not, who reminds you that you're never really alone. I'll always be with you, sweetheart. Love, Mom." Tears slipped down his face, but he smiled. A deep, full, real smile. Murphy nuzzled into his lap, tail swishing slowly. Eli whispered, "Thank you, boy. You delivered more than letters." A week later, Eli stood in front of his school assembly, a microphone in hand, Murphy sitting loyally beside him in a special vest that read, "Therapy Dog in Training." Students watched in silence as Eli told the story of the dog who came out of nowhere, of the letters that brought a mother's voice back to life, of how silence was once his shield, but is now his story. "You never know who's carrying your healing," Eli said. "Sometimes it has 4 legs and a golden coat." The entire auditorium erupted in a standing ovation. Even the teachers wiped away tears. That spring, Eli started a school club called the Letter Home Project. Kids were encouraged to write letters to loved ones, living or gone, and share stories of healing, remembrance, and love. Murphy came with him every week, lying beside nervous students as they read aloud, offering the same quiet comfort he once gave a broken boy on a lonely porch. Eli's final letter, the one he wrote himself, was never sealed. It stayed tucked inside his sketchbook, just above a drawing of Murphy at the mailbox. "Dear Mom, you were right. Joy to find me. And this time I barked back. Thank you for spending time with us here at Hearthside Stories 25, where every story is a reminder that love still heals, hope still restores, and home is never too far away. Until next time, keep your heart open and your story burning bright."